Hello and welcome back to the Signiforce channel. In Salesforce, Picklist fields are a great way to standardize data input from users. However, you may come across a scenario where you need to allow for some user input for a selection of an other option. In this video, I will show you how to allow users to enter an other value when they select the other option in a pick list. So let's get into the tutorial. I'm going to create a new field called Region Focus Other, which will be a text field. So I'm going to select text, click Next, and then I'm going to enter the field label, which is Region Focus Other. And I'm going to allow users up to 100 characters for this field. And then I'm going to press Next. I will make this visible to all profiles, press Next, and then I will add it to my organization page layout and press Save. Now I'm going to edit my page layout to make sure that this field is right below the regional focus field. So I'm going to go down to the section where I added the region focus field and just move the region focus other field right underneath it and press Save. Now when I go back to my page and refresh, I should see the new field on my page layout. Now, some things to keep in mind is that the other field that you just added, there is no way in Salesforce to hide that field until the user selects other in the controlling field. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And the other key thing to keep in mind is that you cannot do field dependencies between a pick list field and a text field. However, we can ensure that when the user selects an other option in the first field, which is our pick list field, we require an input for the other field. That is what we are going to do to ensure that we get the input from the user when they select other in this option. So how do we do this? We will create a validation rule. So I'm going to go back to my setup menu and go back to my object manager for the account object and scroll down to validation rules. And this is where I'm going to define a new validation rule by selecting new, giving the validation rule a name. So I'm going to say, if region is other, require other field. You can give it a description, and then you will enter your validation formula. What you want to do in your validation formula is to ensure that if the first field has the input of other, it requires that there is something in the other field. So the first thing I'm going to do is ensure that the error condition is looking for the other value. And the way that you do that is by adding the function isPickVal, which is the function you have to use to determine if the pick list field has a particular value. So I'm going to insert the field region focus, which is my controlling field, and I am looking for the other option. And so if that is occurring and the other field is blank, so now I'm going to enter my isBlank function. And then in here, I'm going to insert the field that I created for the text input, which is the region focus other field. Once I'm happy with my formula, I'm going to click the check syntax button. This is best practice to ensure that there aren't any errors in the syntax of your formula. This is not going to tell you whether the formula is correct or not. It will just tell you if the syntax is correct. The last thing you want to do is define your error message. So it's fine to determine that there is an error, but you need to tell the user what it is that they are not completing correctly on the page. So I'm going to define my error message as region focus other field is required when you select other in region focus field. And then I'm going to determine where I want to throw this error. Since this error is on a particular field, I'm going to select the actual field where I want this to appear, which is the other field, because they've already selected something in region focus, which is other, and then they need to enter something in the text field. and then I'm going to press save. And this validation rule is now active. So I'm going to go back to my page, refresh, and then I'm going to try entering the information for other in my Picklist field, and let's make sure that we get the error. So I'm selecting other, and I'm not going to put anything in the other field, and press save. And it should throw me the error, region focus other field is required when you select other in region focus field. Now, we also want to make sure and test the condition that we select something else, and it shouldn't throw the error. So I'm going to go ahead and select Asia and then press save, and it shouldn't throw the error, and it should allow me to update as it did. One more thing to keep in mind is that the users, if they select Asia, they could still add something in the other field. So you could potentially add another validation rule if you don't want anything in here to say if they select anything other than other, make sure that this is empty. And that's because there's no way to hide the field depending on the input. So that's something else you could do if you really don't want to receive any input in this field if the user doesn't select other in the previous field. That is all for today's tutorial. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like and share it with a colleague or a friend. We upload tips and tutorials on the Salesforce platform on this channel, so if it's something that you are interested in, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video.